Today I want to share why the typical advice about budgeting, saving, and investing, while that is important, it's not enough on its own to transform our financial future. Many of us have really poor money habits and beliefs that keep us trapped, but they're rooted in something far deeper than our wallet. So if you want to go beyond just the typical advice, let's dive in. Every financial decision that you or I make, it's not really about money. It's about what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about our life, what we believe about our purpose. For instance, if you believe that you have nothing valuable to offer, that your opinion doesn't matter, that people don't really like you, I can almost guess or even guarantee what your bank account will look like. Our deepest beliefs about ourselves, they shape every financial decision that we make. So let's take a look at 5 deep-rooted habits that keep most people financially trapped. But more importantly, why these patterns have such a hold on our lives. Habit number 1 is living for other people's approval. You see, this first habit goes beyond just simple overspending. It really strikes at the heart of why we make poor financial choices. Think about how many people that you know who are living in homes that they can barely afford. They're driving cars that are stretching their budgets thin. They're buying things they don't need. They do all of this to maintain an image that's mostly for other people. It's not even all about what they enjoy or value. We see this on social media daily. People portraying this lifestyle they can't sustain. They're going into debt to maintain that appearance. But here's what's fascinating is studies show that the people who often appear the wealthiest actually have the least amount of wealth. While those with true financial freedom, they tend to live below their means. They're unburdened by what other people are thinking about them. But this habit isn't really about poor money management. It's about not understanding your true worth. When you realize that your value isn't determined just by other people's opinions or by what you own, something remarkable happens. Your spending habits naturally start to change. I've found this to even be true for myself. Okay, confession time. I do get a little bit of enjoyment about driving our old rusty red minivan down a street full of BMWs and other high-end vehicles parked in people's driveways. And I'm thinking we all get from point A to point B, but I do enjoy the fact that instead of trying to impress others with a fancy vehicle like that, we are able to put that money away to do other things that are more important with it, that align with our values. So how do you break free from this trap? Well, the first thing is to identify if the problem is something that you are facing. So I would suggest start by just examining. Think about the last 3 significant purchases you've made. Did you purchase those because you needed it or you really valued it? Or was there any hint of this being purchased because it would impress or look good to other people? The first step is to admit, hey, I've got a problem here, if you want to move forward and get beyond it. Habit number 2 is the idea of trading tomorrow for today. You see, this habit goes beyond just poor planning. It's really a fundamental misunderstanding of time and value. Think about how easy it is to justify little purchases today while we push off investing in our future. I'll start saving for that next month. I'll invest when I make more money. I'll start giving more when I earn more money. That does not change when that event or that future reality comes about. Story time. In the Bible, in the book of Genesis, is a story about Jacob and Esau that illustrates this idea really well. So Esau, after an exhausted day of hunting, he comes home to his brother Jacob, making some delicious smelling food. So Jacob, knowing that Esau is tired, worn out, he takes advantage of this, and he takes advantage of Esau's impulsive nature, and he gets him to trade his entire inheritance for a bowl of stew. Let me say that again. He traded everything, his future security, his legacy, for a single meal because he was hungry in the moment. The meal satisfied him for an hour, but the decision impacted generations. Do we not see this same pattern playing out today? We sacrifice our future financial freedom for temporary comfort, or any potential freedom in the future, even time freedom, for what we feel like we want today. The small steps that you and I are taking today in any direction, whether that's good or bad, they're determining what our future is going to look like, and there's no escaping that. The food that we eat, the relationships we pour into, and of course, the decisions we make, including financial decisions. So the typical advice at this point is put away 10% of your income into a retirement account and you'll become a millionaire. While that is true in some ways, I've applied those principles to my own life and it does work, but we have to develop the habit of saving gradually, the idea of delaying gratification. We do this with exercise. I bring that one up all the time. We have a future goal in mind of where we want to get to, but we have to do those hard steps to work our way up there. So I'd encourage you, when it comes to financial decisions, you set the starting point, your first goal, save for $100 and do something enjoyable with that. And then slowly increase that amount until, yes, you can get to a point where you're putting away 10% of your income, 20% of your income, 30% for the future. Habit number 3 is the scarcity mindset. This habit's arguably one of the most destructive because it affects every financial decision we make. It's that belief that there's never enough. So as I've worked with businesses for many years and observed many people in many different positions, I've seen a lot of really talented people that really dislike or even hate their job, but they stay there because they believe they don't have any other options. They see limited possibilities rather than an abundant opportunity out there. And it makes me sad seeing that, people feeling stuck. But if you study any significant innovation or successful business, you'll notice something interesting. They don't start with more resources than anyone else. They literally just start with a different perspective about resources. They saw opportunities where others saw obstacles. For example, in the 1970s, Herb Kelleher, he co-founded Southwest Airlines with limited resources, but he had a unique perspective. While other major airlines were focused on big hubs, luxurious amenities, Southwest embraced a no-frills approach. Offering affordability, shorter flights between smaller cities, they standardized on this model. They kept costs low and they fostered even a fun company culture. So where others saw limitations, Southwest saw opportunity. You see, the scarcity mindset doesn't just affect our earning potential, it impacts how we treat other people, how we spend our time, how we view ourselves. When we believe that resources are limited, we become more selfish, we become less generous, and we are less likely to be invested in other people or take calculated risks. So I encourage you, challenge your limiting beliefs. Each time you think something like, I can't afford that, rephrase it in your mind. How could I make this possible? That simple shift, it opens your mind to opportunities rather than limitations. For instance, my wife and I, we did this with family vacations that we wanted to take. Again, money is a challenge with 6 kids, but we thought, how can we make this work? So we started to take a percentage of our income, that any money that came in, we would just put away into a trip fund. And over time, that amount would just accumulate. And we would then use that and take these trips that we've wanted to do with our family. What's really neat is over the years, we eventually just hit our goal. In fact, this past year, of getting our kids to all of the lower 48 states and did that debt-free. I don't say that as a brag or good for us, but it was a goal that we had. And at first it seemed like that's not going to be possible. We were limited. But then we thought, how could we make this work? And we found a way. Habit number 4 is the time deception. And this one's a little misleading because sometimes it disguises itself as wisdom. There's a foundational truth that I have found missing from all the other content, books, videos I see on this subject, which is the concept that we were made to work. We were made to serve other people, to find purpose in what we do, to enjoy it. That's wonderful. We should embrace that. And in fact, it's okay to trade time for money. And contrary to what everyone says online, it's okay to do that. But it's essential to understand when enough is enough. Financial security, while that's valuable, it keeps us out of a lot of desperate situations, offers stability, but there becomes a line where accumulating wealth shifts from that seeking freedom or enjoying that freedom to just obsession. When we only seek to acquire more, then we start to miss the whole purpose behind financial freedom, time freedom. We've totally lost track of what we were even heading for in the first place. Here's a tough one for you. Have you ever been to a funeral where the only thing that people could say about the person was, well, he was a good worker, he worked hard? Is that really the legacy we want to leave? I would be so sad if that's all my kids could say about me or my grandkids. It's easy to fall into the trap of endlessly just earning money just for the sake of it, only to realize too late that life is finite. When we keep our focus solely on money, then we lose track of everything that matters: relationships, health, serving other people, giving back, living with purpose. Another sad statistic is that many people who retire with over $1 million will never actually spend all of that money. They leave it unspent, which is great for an inheritance. That's not a bad thing. But the reality is they saved all that up, never to spend that money. In the end, all that relentless saving just becomes a chasing after the wind. The question is, how much wealth is truly enough? Remember when we were kids? We didn't think about money. We were out playing, we were drawing pictures, we were dreaming because we had the time to do that. Have we forgotten as adults that that freedom of time is more valuable than even financial freedom? As entrepreneur and author Jim Rohn put it, time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. I highly recommend we begin evaluating opportunities not only by their financial gain, but also by the time that they can buy us back. Invest in systems, in a business, in knowledge that frees you up to enjoy life, to live life aligned with your values, your purpose. Spend time with those who matter most. True freedom is not about amassing wealth. I know this is strange saying in a video about this topic. It is about knowing when you have enough so that you can live a life filled with meaning, purpose, contentment, not just money. And habit number 5 is the purpose problem. You're not going to find this in a lot of other videos. I have yet to see it. But I noticed something critical about these money decisions, poor financial choices. Those who chase money alone, they often end up the most frustrated and unfulfilled people that I've ever known. I found this to be true in my own life as I've sought money at different points of my life. It just left me miserable. But if we serve a deeper purpose that's not focused solely on acquiring dollars, well, naturally we will find ways to create value for people, to solve problems for people, because we're focused on helping others, not just ourselves. And here's the interesting thing. Money often tends to come more easily to people who are pursuing that purpose-driven direction. This is not some prosperity gospel message where if you pray hard enough, work hard enough, or have enough faith, God will make you rich. This is far, far, far from that. I also recognize many people watching this video won't have the same beliefs as I do, and that's okay. But one thing is still true regardless, and that is we are owed nothing in this life. You didn't create yourself. I didn't put myself into this world. It was given to us. And you and I are not guaranteed to have a lot of material wealth in this world either. Which is why acquiring money in this life without a deeper purpose, it really becomes a burden rather than a blessing or a tool. I've seen this play out countless times in the real world where people achieve financial success, but they feel empty because they've forgotten why they wanted it in the first place. I think about all the people that I admire the most, I want to be like, and realistically, none of them are that wealthy. They have their needs provided for, they're content with what they have, but their character and their love towards others is far richer than any of the people I've known who are millionaires. I told you we were going to go a little deeper than the surface level advice out there. So at this point, I would highly recommend you take a little bit of time this week if you're a person who writes things down or if you just want to spend some time thinking about it. Either way, what is your purpose? Not just what you want to achieve financially, but how do you want to use the resources to make a difference? That's going to impact even the smallest financial decisions that you make. Let purpose drive your financial decisions, not just profit. So to wrap this all up, here's the profound truth about breaking free from poor financial choices, decision-making, whatever we'd like to call that. It starts with understanding who we are, who you are. Why are you here? What are you going to do with the resources that you are given, blessed with? Once you align your financial habits with your true purpose, everything will start to change. All of these beliefs, everything we talked about, these habits will start to shift because money becomes a tool for living rather than a reason for living. Change your thinking about wealth. It is totally fine to earn money. That's a great thing, but don't swing to the other side of that pendulum and become a slave to money. Don't let your life be defined by a set of low or high numbers on a digital screen. You have greater purpose as to why you were created. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Also would encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter below for more of this type of information. While my channel does focus primarily on how to build a sustainable home-based business for busy people, I also go into these topics about life because it all goes together: time freedom, financial freedom, but learning to be content in all of this and do it in a way that does not destroy the life that we've been given. And with that, I ask you, what are you going to do with these 24 hours that you've been given?